Few names evoke as much fear and fascination as Charles Manson. A criminal mastermind, cult leader, and symbol of manipulation, Manson's twisted ideology and actions left an indelible mark on American history. But who was Charles Manson, and how did one man lead others down a path of destruction? Let's delve into 7 unsettling facts about the man behind the madness. Charles Manson wasn't a murderer in the traditional sense. He never physically committed the heinous crimes that made him infamous. Instead, he weaponized the devotion of his followers, manipulating them into carrying out his violent plans. The Manson family, as his followers were called, consisted mostly of young women who were lost, vulnerable, and searching for purpose. Manson preyed on their insecurities, using charm and psychological tactics to make them believe he was a messiah figure. Through careful manipulation, he convinced them to commit unspeakable acts, including the gruesome Tate LaBianca murders in 1969. By exerting complete control over his followers, Manson turned them into tools of terror. His ability to orchestrate such atrocities without getting his own hands dirty is a chilling testament to the power of manipulation. One of Manson's most bizarre and dangerous beliefs was his apocalyptic helter-skelter prophecy. He was convinced that a race war was imminent, a battle between black and white people that would end with his family ruling over the survivors. Inspired by his distorted interpretation of the Beatles' song Helter Skelter, Manson believed he could accelerate this war by committing murders and framing the black community. His goal? To trigger chaos that would lead to the downfall of society. The Tate LaBianca murders were intended to incite this war. Manson instructed his followers to leave cryptic messages at the crime scenes, such as "pig" written in blood, in hopes of fueling racial tensions. Thankfully, his plan failed, but the sheer insanity of the prophecy underscores how deeply unhinged his worldview was, and how willing his followers were to embrace it. Before Manson became synonymous with murder and manipulation, he dreamed of being a musician. He even had connections in the music industry, most notably Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys. Manson's charisma and songwriting gained him entry into Wilson's circle, where he hoped to achieve fame. Wilson reportedly allowed Manson and his followers to live in his home for a time, fascinated by their free-spirited lifestyle. However, Manson's behavior grew increasingly erratic, and he alienated potential supporters. Even so, the Beach Boys recorded a version of one of his songs, "Cease to Exist," which they retitled and rewrote as "Never Learn Not to Love." Manson's inability to break into the music industry is said to have fueled his bitterness, driving him further into delusion and violence. Charles Manson's descent into darkness began early. Born to a 16-year-old mother in 1934, Manson's childhood was marked by neglect and abuse. His mother, often involved in petty crime, was arrested and imprisoned when Manson was just a boy, leaving him to bounce between relatives and reform schools. He endured physical abuse and developed a mistrust of authority, traits that shaped his manipulative nature later in life. By the time he was a teenager, Manson was already committing crimes, from burglary to car theft. Prison became a revolving door for him, setting the stage for the criminal mind he would become. He spent more than half of his early life in prison, and it was there that he honed his manipulative skills. He studied psychology, experimented with the teachings of religious and self-help movements, and learned how to control and influence others. When he was released in 1967, Manson entered a world primed for his message. The counterculture movement of the late 1960s provided him with the perfect audience, young people searching for meaning and rebelling against societal norms. Manson twisted the ideals of love and peace into a dark narrative, using the vulnerability of the time to recruit followers and spread his twisted ideology. During his 1970 trial, Manson carved a swastika into his forehead, a chilling display of his extremist beliefs and utter disdain for humanity. Originally, he etched an X to symbolize his removal from society, but he later transformed it into a swastika, embracing the symbol as part of his identity. The tattoo became synonymous with Manson, a permanent reminder of the hatred and chaos he brought into the world. Even in prison, the swastika served as a stark message, cementing his legacy as one of America's most notorious criminals. Charles Manson died in 2017 at the age of 83 while serving a life sentence in California. Though he's gone, his legacy endures, a chilling reminder of the power of manipulation and the darkness of the human mind. The crimes he orchestrated have been immortalized in books, films, and television, ensuring that his story will continue to haunt the collective consciousness for generations. But perhaps the most disturbing part of Manson's legacy is the question it leaves us with. How many more manipulators like him are out there, waiting for the right moment to strike? Charles Manson wasn't just a man. He was a symbol of how darkness can grow in the cracks of society. His story is one of manipulation, madness, and murder, a tale that reminds us of the importance of vigilance and the fragility of humanity. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into true crime, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more chilling stories. See you in the next video.